Good morning or good afternoon. Today we'll be recording a video on Quizzette 612 for highly accelerated math. We are starting a new unit, so technically this little line right here should have the updated standard. This is the old standard. I will update it for next week's Quizzette. Please write your last name, comma, your first name, today's date, which I believe is the 5th. The date isn't that important. What's most important is your last name, comma, first name, and your class color. So you can write ratios in 3 different ways, and that's why number 1 is always going to ask you to write your ratios in 3 different ways. What you have to pay the most attention to is the order in which they want you to write the ratio. So it says a jug of juice has 6 cups of pineapple juice and 5 cups of orange juice. So you have 6 cups of pineapple juice, and then you have 5 cups of orange juice. Write the ratio of the number of cups of pineapple juice to the total number of cups of juice in 3 different ways. So it wants you to take the pineapple juice, the amount of pineapple juice that you have, and it wants you to compare it to the total amount of juice that you have. And the total amount of juice that you have is 11 cups, because if you add 6 cups plus 5 cups, you have a total of 11 cups. And pineapple juice they give you, you have 6 cups of pineapple juice. So you would write it like this, 6 to 11. Because you have 6 cups of pineapple juice, and then you have 11 total cups, and that's what they want. That's the first way to write your ratio. Another way you can write your ratio is 6 over 11, which is also said 6 to 11. And then the final way is to write it like in English. So you would use 6 to 11. Those are the 3 different ways that you can write your ratios. And if you pay attention to the word ratio, it actually stems from a word that we already know, a classification of numbers. And if you remember, we learned about rational numbers. And the thing we remember about rational numbers is numbers that we can put into a fraction, right? If you look at the first 5 letters of rational, you see a word there. And the word is ratio. And ratios can be expressed as fractions. So if you ever forget what the definition of rational numbers is, just look at the first 5 letters, rational, ratio. Oh wait, ratios can be turned as fractions, rational numbers are fractions, and ratios are fractions and rational numbers, so on and so forth. So it's like a cycle, it's like a circle. Rational numbers can be expressed as fractions, fractions can be expressed as ratios. Okay? Number 2, for those of you who have an iExcel account, before I move on actually, remember that you have to pay very close attention to number 1. They seem super easy, but if you get the order wrong, so if you were to tell me 11 to 6, if you were to get them backwards, that would be wrong. You have to pay attention to the order in which they're asking for the ratio. So number 2, if you have your own iExcel account, it's iExcel 7th grade J3. I didn't use the 6th grade exercises because the 6th grade exercises were just honestly too easy and they were not going to be challenging enough. So I am going to teach you the 7th grade ones on this. Because the 6th grade ones were just using numbers like 1, 2, 3, and 4. They weren't exceeding on the multiples of that. And on your quiz, if we're able to take it this week, your quiz does have a mixture of the 6th grade and it has a little bit of the 7th grade. So that's why I gave you these. Okay, number 2. Find the number that makes the ratio equivalent, which you already know that just means equal, to 5 to 4. So this ratio right here, you can always turn it into a fraction. 5 to 4. So for every 5 of, I don't know, 5 pencils, you have 4 pens. I don't know. Then the next ratio, it gives you the first term, which is 50, but we have to find the second term. So when you write your ratio, this is going to seem kind of complex, but when you write your ratios, you always write them y over x, okay? So the top number would be considered your y, the bottom number would be considered your x. If you start getting into the habit now in 6th grade of y to x, when we get to the 7th grade content and we're learning about how to graph ratios and proportions, you need to know the order y to x. And then this year, as I taught 8th grade, I realized just how important it was because when we're graphing, we always graph the y-axis and then we go to the x-axis. And you'll see what I'm talking about later, but learn this right now. When you write ratios, you express them as fractions. The top number is y, the bottom number is x. So in this case, 5 is y, 4 is x, right? The next ratio they give you is the y, but they didn't give you the x. They didn't give you that mystery number. So we have to try to figure it out. So you can solve this by thinking, that's my original ratio. What do I multiply to 5 to get me 50? And you guys could probably do that in your head. You just multiply that by 10. 5 times 10 is 50. And if you multiply the top term by 10, you have to multiply the bottom term. 4 times 10 is 40. So the missing piece would be 40. Another way you can solve this is using proportions. This is not a 6th grade standard. Proportions is an 8th grade and 7th grade standard, but I'm going to teach it to you because it makes it easy. So you can use this. Our first ratio is 5 over 4, right? Our next ratio is 50 over x. If you have an equal sign and you have fractions, you can cross multiply. You can solve it by proportions. So you multiply this by this. 4 times 50. 4 times 50 is 50, 100, 150, 200. And then 5 times x, well, that's just a number multiplied by a variable, so you could just write them next to each other. So that would be 5x, okay? So this is what I would do. I would do 5x. So now we have 5x equals 200. 5x equals 200. I want to get x by itself, but 5 is being multiplied right there. So I'm going to divide by 5 on both sides. 6th graders know 5 over 5 is just one whole. Instead of writing 1x, I just write x, because in front of x, there's always an invisible 1 anyways. 5 goes into 200 40 times. And that's what I got over here. So you can use mental math. You can use the equivalent ratios, which is what we did here. We saw that the pattern 5 times 10 was 50, so 4 times 10 would be 40. Or if the numbers are crazy, wild, you can solve it by proportions. You do not need to know proportions in 6th grade, but it's going to come up next semester when we're learning 7th grade. So if you learn it now, yay. Number 3, select all ratios that are equivalent to 3/12. So you would write that as a fraction, 3 over 12. And then you could also reduce it. If you can reduce it, reduce it. So let's look at number 3. Let's reduce 3/12. We can reduce 3/12 by dividing both by 3. 3 goes into 3 one time. 3 goes into 12 4 times. So we're trying to see which ratios are equal or equivalent to 1/4. So write them all as fractions. 2/8, 4/16, 21 over 36. And let's see which one's reduced to 1/4. The first one, they're both divisible by 2, and they reduce to 1/4. So that's 1. 4/16, let me see, 4 goes into 4 one time, 4 goes into 16 4 times. That one's equivalent as well. Let's look at the next one. I think 3 goes into both of those. 3 goes into 21 7 times, and then 3 goes into 36 12 times. And that's it. So that one is not equivalent. Okay. Number 4. So if you pay attention, the IXLs here are 6th grade exercises and 8th grade exercises. Funny enough, I believe, if I remember correctly, this right here is the 8th grade IXL, and this right here is the 6th grade IXL. And if you look at them, the 8th grade one seems a lot easier than the 6th grade one. So there you go. Tessa walked a total of 12 kilometers by making 4 trips to school. So we can just write that ratio. She walked 12 kilometers by 4 trips. So 12 to 4. 12 kilometers in 4 trips. Now something I'm going to teach you about before I go on is unit rate. So go ahead and write unit rate. And the unit rate is finding the, like if you have, for instance, like I don't know if I told you guys about the toothpaste. Let's say I buy, at Costco, I buy 5 packs of toothpaste for $12.99. Or I go to the store and I buy 1 pack for $4. So the unit rate at the store is 1 toothpaste for $4. At Costco, I don't know the unit rate because I'm buying 5 for $12.99. But if I divide $12.99 by 5, that tells me how much I'm paying for each one. So unit rate is like price per one or distance per trip or just fill in the blank. It's just per one. So in this case, Tessa goes 12 kilometers. She walked 12 kilometers in 4 trips. If I want to find the unit rate, we have to figure out how many she travels per trip. So you guys did this in the last couple weeks. You just divide 12 by 4, and that gets you 3 kilometers for every 1 trip, right? If you divide 12 by 4, you get 3. So in 1 trip, she walks 3 kilometers, okay? And it says solve using unit rates, which is what we did. Now let's read the second sentence. After 5 trips to school, how many kilometers will Tessa have walked in total? So if she walks for every single trip, she walks 3 kilometers, and she takes 5 trips, you literally just multiply that by 5. If she has 5 trips, that means she goes 15 kilometers. So Tessa will walk 15 kilometers in 5 trips to school. Number 5 is also unit rate. You divide 33 minutes, 33 by 11. So if you spend 33 minutes in 11 songs, how much time do you spend per song? 3 minutes. You might not even need to do the math there. You can just think about it. 33 divided by 11 is 3. 3 minutes per song. That's the unit rate. Finding out how much for one. All right? Now I'm going to ask you guys to do Tuesday on your own with the voice tone of 0. And if you need any help, as always, you can come up to me and ask me.